I said, hey, yeah, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Aussie, Aussie! Aussie, 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 I think. Oi, oi. Sorry. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, big drum roll for Rebecca, all the way from Harvey Bay. And Chris, if you'd like to take the microphone and do the proper introduction. I didn't have a song for you, Rebecca, sorry.
Would you like to come up, Rebecca? Rebecca's a bit nervous, rightfully so. It's a bit scary getting up in front of a crowd, but she's very passionate about what has happened to her in the last week. I'll let her explain who she is and why she's here today. She'll give you a full rundown on all of that sort of stuff. It's just great to have her here to put a face to the video, guys. You reckon that's good to have her here today? Shows a lot of courage too, and it just happens that the person this has happened to is a strong person, and she's willing to come here today and fight for our rights. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you, everyone. I can see lots of people that were here, that were at Harvey Bay last week, so it's really great that people are coming back. For those of you I haven't spoken to yet, my name is Rebecca. On the 12th of January this year, I made a decision to go and have a cup of coffee at a cafe. So 5 weeks ago, that would not have been an issue. So it's really got to make you wonder, for anyone who feels as though what happened was justified, how can that be? You know, you really need to look at what is going on. And look, I'm not normally nervous when I'm up speaking to people, but we've had such amazing speakers that I feel, you know, that's a lot hard act to follow. So bear with me as I tell my story. I've had lots of ups and downs. I'm feeling strong one minute, I'm feeling fearful the next. I took myself to Brisbane yesterday, drove myself there, marched around by myself, hopped back in the car and drove back again. And here I am today. So this is what needed to happen apparently in Harvey Bay. So who would have thought that this is where we would be? So after it had happened, I took a few days to process and then I submitted a complaint. Of course I knew that wasn't going anywhere, but you've got to give it a crack. So in my naive mind, thinking that, you know, everyone is entitled to a fair and just process, and surely someone else would realise what happened to me was not okay. So I submitted my request and then I had a phone call from the acting senior sergeant at Harvey Bay Police Office at the station. I thought, oh, they're investigating people within their own station. Oh, wonder how that's going to work out. So anyway, he called me. I called him back a couple of days later when I felt, you know, that I could, and I just said to him, look, I'm actually not in a space right now to be speaking with you. I'll call you in the next couple of days. Well, lo and behold, he emailed me an outcome without speaking to me. Emailed me an outcome. Now, the joy of having it in writing though, thanks, couldn't have gone better. The email is reminiscent of a parent reprimanding a child. Unprofessional, like legal language, non-existent. You know, I won't go through all of it, but what it said was that the police attended after they had an anonymous phone call from Crime Stoppers. Who's sitting at home out of those few people that I messaged to say where I was, who has that little of a life that you actually need to contact Crime Stoppers to complain about an unvaccinated patron, and that you would need to rush down and arrest them? Don't you have better things to be doing with your day? than to be arresting a person having a coffee. I'm sure there are more domestic violence victims in our community that would appreciate that quicker response. Someone who's had their house broken into, the cafe owner who had his cafe broken into 4 times didn't get that response. But here they are, trundling along, 2 police vehicles, 4 officers, and 1 police liaison officer. I want to see her job description. I want to see that police liaison officer's job description, because I don't think she's meeting her KPIs. I think she needs to have a conversation with someone. Well, she didn't have a conversation with me. So it goes over, you know, they wanted, the reason that they had that many officers come, because they wanted to create minimal disruption. Got it in writing. Minimal disruption to patrons. Okay? So you were therefore obliged to produce evidence of your vaccination status to the police officers in attendance. Was I? I was outside. You were warned that failing to provide your name and address was also an offence, and you were arrested for failing to comply with this direction. You again refused and were subsequently arrested. Can I just remind you, for the bit before the cafe owner started recording, there was 57 seconds between when they approached me and when that recording started. I was at the back of the paddy wagon. 57 seconds. Liaise that. Bullshit. There was no liaising. That was intimidation. At this time, you chose to make a scene and resist officers. I thought so. Didn't even swear. You do not get to dictate to officers what will happen after you have been lawfully arrested. I beg to differ. For failing to comply with this direction. You chose the path to take in failing to comply lawful directions given by officers. Sorry, what law's that? As is normally the case in these situations, others then decided to start recording the arrest and post this video online, attempting to portray you as the victim without having any knowledge of what occurred prior to the arrest. I just told you it was 57 seconds, and I asked that person to start recording because it was absolutely ridiculous. I obviously pissed that little one off, you know? What's going on for her and her world that I pissed her off so quickly because I didn't want to comply with my right not to tell her my vaccination status when I was outside the cafe after having left. Wish it was a wine. So you were then rightly placed into a vehicle, because we all saw how rightly that went, and taken to the watch house to be charged. Rebecca, you chose the path you took. Police did not force you to decline to show your vaccination status, but did act appropriately when you committed an offence in refusing to provide this and proof of your name and address. I fully support the actions of all the officers. I am sorry you feel aggrieved in this situation, but again, you chose your own path, and now you have to accept the consequences of your actions. How many times have I said that to my kids? I didn't put them in a paddy wagon, they didn't go in a cell. Well, this is where you guys all come in. Now, as I've said before, I'm not going to go down lightly. That's not going to happen. I might have my good days and I might have my bad days and anything in between. You know, it has been very, very difficult, and, you know, I did lose my job in December, so that's going to be a treat getting a new one, isn't it, in Hervey Bay? So look, this is where we need to be. This is what's going to happen, is we're going to follow this through, and I need your help.
Are we going to be there for Rebecca, ladies and gentlemen? Yes.
So in a few weeks, and I'll let you know the date when it happens, is that we will be serving those officers at the Hervey Base Police Station. And I would love as many of you to be there peacefully, peaceful protest. You know, if they can do the disappointed parent look, so can we. So, what do they charge me with? Oh, that's a good question. So, I was charged with obstructing the police, and I was also charged with not complying with a health direction, and received a $1,378 fine for also not showing my vaccination status. I know my rights. I did not need to show my vaccination status. And the support I've received from all of you has been second to none. It's been amazing, and I appreciate it. And that's what's got me through. I'm not too concerned about people, saying this, that and the other. I've also worked in community services for a long time, and I know your name. If I fired you for a good reason and you're going to put something up on Facebook, that says more about you than me. I'm good with that. So, I'm not too concerned about that because every time someone puts up a comment, you guys support me and put something up that's positive, But in Brisbane yesterday, I sort of went through all those emotions of hope and despair all together, because here we are marching and, we're all in this together, we're doing all the whole thing. And on my way there, people outside wearing a mask. Yeah, like you. So you don't have to wear... We're that conditioned that people are now wearing masks outside without being asked to. What is going on in your mind? I walked through South Bank and I was like, did another mandate come out that I didn't know? And seriously, do you have to wear them outside? Everyone had them on. And then people standing around, like the young fella that came through here before, that feel as though they have the right to be so disrespectful. Let's not do that. Let's not sink to that level. Let's be respectful in our responses and educate people.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to happen the other way. That's not working. And, let's feel for people that their own fears and beliefs have led them to that place. And some of them, you're not going to change their mind the same as us. When you're not going to change our mind. I lost my job. What am I going to do now? Well, I'll work it out. I'll get there. At least I can liaise. So I just want to thank you, and then I really will be asking for that call to action in a couple of weeks when we do serve those officers. And it won't be the end of it. And I'll contest the fine in court, of course, as if I'm going to just hand over money for nothing. And, let's just keep going. I now feel stronger about being part of this community than I did before. Some of you, I felt really isolated and alone, and, it's divided families. It's divided my family. Where people say, well, you deserved that. Okay. I wasn't robbing a bank, I was having a coffee. If that is where people's mentality is, that they can somehow justify something that I could have done 5 weeks ago, and I pushed the envelope by trying to go and have a coffee, and they think that that's okay for me to be put in the back of a paddy wagon with bruises on my arms, which, by the way, old mate has said was not not aggressive, and that's fine.
What a lot of bullshit.
Fully supports his officers.
She looks very aggressive.
So let's do this. I really want to start to volunteer and make sure that I'm not just, this is just the beginning of it. This was meant to happen to us in Hervey Bay. It didn't just happen to me. It happened to all of you, because you're going to help, and we're going to set a precedence for this absolute bullshit so that they can't continue to get away with it. So, as I've said before, they chose the wrong person. Let's do this. Hands off our kids.
Just 1 second, Rebecca. Sorry, I'll just keep you up there for a sec. Did you know that Rebecca has been exposed worldwide by Russell Brand? And our much-loved Aussie Cossack.
And at least Russell didn't call me old, because apparently I look really old in there. Any hairdressers? I think I need to do something with my hair.
I thought it was a bit rude. Thanks, Rebecca. Another round of applause for Rebecca, ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls. Thank you. Now it's back over to Chris.
Oh, thank you very much, Rebecca. That was absolutely awesome to hear that from her and the experiences. We all want to hear those stories, because it makes us relate to what we're thinking as well. And she's got a ton of guts, you know, to be coping with what we're coping with ourselves outside of having that happen to you again. Can you imagine how horrific that could be? How mentally destroying, how much stress and anxiety that puts on someone. And to get up here to speak in front of us all here today, she's passionate about that. Awesome job. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Next up, we've got Ivania. Now, Ivania, we're going to take the tone down a little bit. We're going to have a little bit of a love song. You got a love song?
Chris.
Ivania.
Oh, sorry.
All right, we're going to take it down a tone now, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about how to cope with what's happening mentally and on a bit of a spiritual level as well. Ivania is very experienced. She's very experienced in life, actually. She's done a lot. But this is one of her passions as well. So she's going to teach us, or give us some guidance on how to deal with what's going on mentally and spiritually at the moment.
Big round of applause for Ivania.
Like this, the fourth, the fifth, the month.
All yours, Ivania.
For something totally different, hey? 12 months ago, I was on a platform talking to people in Hervey Bay, and I was going as an independent Senate representative. I am so thankful that I'm not going to that trough. It was a calling at the time, the energy went, but gee, I learned a lot about myself and a lot about people and what was going on for them. And I thought that because I had so much background, and 30 years ago I was working with the United Nations in Vienna, and I know how they work behind the doors, that people don't to see what they're doing and how they're doing it. I saw the wastage of money. I saw the power games played. And it's still happening, unfortunately. One of the things I learnt when I was really looking at, gee, do I want to do this? And I had a contemplation, as I do in meditation, and it came to me that if I ever did get down to Canberra, all I needed to do was hold the light, because the light of truth shatters all shadows. And I believe this is true, and it's what Chris Lofts was saying too about the light and truth. And the truth, we feel it in a vibration, we feel it in our gut, if someone is telling us the truth and if someone isn't. And it's taken a while for a lot of people to start to see that they've been lied to. And if you think about scammers and con artists, they're very good at what they do because they know you. Now, some of the rules of war is about demoralising the spirit. And this is done through communications, so deleting, controlling communication. It's done by food, shortages, distribution, which is already starting to happen. And it's done by medical things as well, where if you injure people and have them maimed, that creates even more fear. So what you're actually seeing is wartime things in action, and it's a real shame. So all of us is having so much problems, and you know, I don't get it right all the time, and I have to go, and I go down the rabbit hole because you have to have a look at all this stuff that's going on. And as I said, I've been watching it open for 30, 40 years and wondering how they would do it, this control. And if you go down the rabbit hole, you must come up for air. And this is what people aren't doing. And I'm isolated from my family as well. I have my spiritual family, my beautiful friends who've come along to support me. Thank you so much. And I need that. Everyone needs that connection. And that disconnection is programmed. They know what they're doing. They absolutely know. This is a PSYOPs operation, if you like, psychological operations. They've been at it for a long time, and we've been groomed. I noticed about 12 years ago, all of a sudden, on all the news programs, there was one little medical story at the end of everything. And now look at it. Look at what happened. We have been groomed. So solutions. There are two things that I want to talk about. One is they're big subjects, mental health and spiritual health, but they go hand in hand. And I've been offering meditation in the park for at least a month now, every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday, 10 o'clock, every of those days, over near the pond in the chapel there. Bring a chair and we hold the light. That's all we do. So anyone that hasn't meditated or anything, we hold the light and we have a chat. And this is all you need to do, is connect. We need to connect. But it's not only to people and this connection, it's not only to like-minded people, which is very important. Chris and Tina, thank you so much, and all the workers for doing this, because you need to keep coming here. If for nothing else, but to see people, to hug people, to intermingle with people that you may not know, but seeing all this love and joy here instead of everything else. You know, we are not in shackles while we are here. We are free in spirit. So you need to find that freedom of spirit inside you. You can't find it outside of you. No one else is responsible for your happiness, as no one else is actually responsible for your health. All you can do is look after you and your actions. And there's so much I could say about the hardships that people are going through and how hard it is for you and not understanding what's going on. I've got a book there called When the Student is Ready. And it's about a lot of my experiences. I used to be suicidally depressed, and I had depression for a long, long time. And now I've used so many tools that little book has some tools in it. And it tells you what you can do, or even tweak the perspective that you have in order to change things. I have a voice inside me that I've connected to, and I listen to that voice. And there's this other voice here, like this voice knows. This knows things. This voice thinks it knows things and tells me eat chocolate. So I eat chocolate a lot. But as I've learnt to still my mind a little bit and to disconnect from the rabbit hole and fill myself with light as much as I can, just envisage, I sometimes sit there and I just imagine I'm sitting in a spotlight of light. That's all. And just bringing it in. Just that vibration will help you and lift you. If you don't believe me, just try it and see what happens. I guarantee it will help you. It will just lift you. And maybe just enough that it takes you to the next step as well. So we've got two voices running in the world as well. It's not only inside, this little one that, you know, we don't listen to, and this one that we do. As you can see, I do eat a lot of chocolate. So on the outside as well, we've got two voices too. And we've got the voice of reason, your voice here, and this other voice. And we're trying to find the balance. So it's about listening not only to this voice here outside and finding like-minded people who are going to help you and lift you, but it's also about finding the voice inside you that's going to lift you and help you too. Years ago, before I had, when my life was police and United Nations and army and sniper and medical things and fraud investigator and police and God knows what, Olympian, I had an experience where I went into the light and it totally changed everything that I thought my life purpose was about. All of that I knew that was what I'd been brought up to believe in and to do changed. I didn't want to do any of that anymore. But the experiences I had have helped me to understand a lot of what's going on now. And it's really important that we do these other things, that we if you have something that helps you, that makes you happy, that gives you joy, do more of it. Don't fight to be valued by people who don't value you and don't want you. Find the people who value you and want you because you are someone special. And I find this with families as well. There are so many families, there's separation. And it's really, really sad. But if you can find those who value you, that's going to help your self-esteem as well. And I've found that in the community here in Maryborough. I feel more valued and appreciated for the first time in my life. And I've got a lot of decades behind me. But it's the community here that's helping me to understand about service to others, about giving what we can and doing what we can. And if you're not sure, for heaven's sakes, find me. I'm on Facebook, Evania Ev. I'm all over the place. I don't have a last name, so I had to put Ev on the end of it. But I think that has also helped me under the radar quite a bit. Probably why my Facebook pages haven't been deleted as some others have. Because one name, it's a bit strange. So if you can look at what you can do to help yourself more, and as I said, come out of that rabbit hole, you've got to change looking at all the bad stuff. I do really recommend the art of gratitude, the attitude of gratitude. Sit there one day and just list everything that you have, which is really wonderful and which you're thankful for, even if it's a good mattress. If it's not a good mattress, well, how about nice sheets? And start that change of attitude to get away from what's going on and latch yourself onto the light. And something came on TV not so long ago. I watched a few documentaries, and there was this pharaoh called Akhenaten, and he was the first pharaoh to take it from many deities to one god. And he said, we're all going to worship the sun, the light. How interesting is that? And the last thing that was said on that documentary, and I believe it absolutely, and that's why I hold the light in the park 3 days a week and invite you to come.
That's a sign, Ivania.
I'm nearly finished. There was a Buddhist monk called Thich Nhat Hanh who died a few days ago. And he used to have a habit of ringing a bell every now and then in his ashram. And at that moment, everybody, regardless of who they were, had to stop for a minute. They stopped, whatever they were doing, and were in that moment. That is how you're going to come out of this, is by being in the moment, not in the fear of future, not in the anxiety that comes from the past. Get out of the fear, get in the now. And as Akhenaten said, if you turn your face to the light, all your shadows fall behind you.
Thank you, Vanya. Beautiful. That bell was just awesome timing. That's a sign, seriously. All right, here he is.
Thanks, Robbie.
Maryborough's most prominent businessman, Chris Black, everybody.
Robbie, you got to stop doing that.
Oh, sorry. It's true.
Thank you very much, Ivania. Always great to hear Ivania. We need the yin and the yang, don't we, guys? We need a little bit of wind down. So make sure you take your time out. Look after your mental health. Look after your health. Look after your family. Look after your family circle first, and then help others. All right. Next up, we've got two more speakers. We've got two representatives, one from Bundaberg, one from Gympie. Firstly, we've got Christy from Bundaberg. She's been heavily involved in what's been happening in Bundaberg with the cause, rallies and whatnot. So she's going to hop up and give us a bit of a rundown as to what they've been doing in Bundaberg and the successes they've had.
All right.
And she might even have a little story along the way as well. Thank you very much, Christy, for coming along and travelling today. Thank you.
Christy's going to hit her with your
Thank
best
you,
shot. All right, big round of applause. Come on, make some noise, everybody. Oh, settle down. Security. Oh, sorry.
Hi everybody, how are you? That's good. So my name's Christy Nash. I'm up in Bundaberg. I met a lot of you last week, and I've been heavily involved with the Freedom Rallies up in Bundaberg. And this all started, I guess, I just wanted to give you all a bit of an update so that you know that you're not alone in this fight for our freedom, but also we're your neighbours, aren't we? You know, so we all need to stay connected. So I just want to give you all a bit of a lowdown on what's been happening up there and how big our community up there is growing. So this all started last August with a silent protest. You might all remember the truckies blockade that was maybe going to happen. And that was also, I think it was just when we were learning about the healthcare mandates as well. So we had a silent protest out in front of the council chambers, and there was maybe 60 of us. We were so proud. That was just awesome for people to just show up on that day. And then basically I actually used that initiative to get a whole heap of people to sign a letter that was addressed to the incumbent up there, the LNP incumbent. I won't say his name. And yes, that's the one. And that was when the no COVID vaccine passport bill was put in Parliament by Craig Kelly. And I wanted to know how our LNP Voice for Our Community was going to vote on that piece of legislation or that bill. He wouldn't tell us, he didn't tell us, and he basically came back with a reply to all 50 of these letters that said, the only way out of this is to roll up your sleeve and get vaccinated. What was that? Exactly, yeah. He's got a lot of time, hasn't got a lot of time for his people anymore. But anyway, from there, it went to a freedom rally that we had in Bus Park, and I went there that day to stand with our frontline workers who had just learned about their mandates. So our freedom rally or our silent protest went from 60 people at the council chambers to 400 people about a month later. And that day was magic because it was the first time that we had police officers, we had healthcare workers, we had teachers, and all of us freedom fighters all coming together to stand together in unity. Okay, so it was a really good one. And then from there, we actually started, or when we learned about the 17th of December mandates that our state premier put on us, we decided to take action, and I started a group called Bundaberg and Surrounds Businesses Who Welcome All People, Jabbed or Unjabbed. Anybody a member of that one? Hello. Thank you. So, as you would know, that's grown. That's grown to a community of 10,000 people across predominantly Bundaberg, but that's 10,000 people who do not support segregation or discrimination. Yeah, that definitely deserves a round of applause, that one. We are not alone. From that, we've grown. We had a freedom rally at Lions Park over on North. Some of you might have even come up for that one. We had a lot of people there. There was 3,000 people at that rally. Yes, it was massive. So we went from 60 to 400 to 3,000 in a space of about 6 weeks. Yeah, it was epic. And the vibes there were amazing. It was a whole bunch of people who all think the same, just like all of you. And we came together and we stood united. And that gave a very clear message, didn't it, to our politicians. So from that, we also had marches. We marched down the centre of Bundaberg. We closed the street and basically went right down Bourbon Street, and that, again, was epic. There was probably about 1,500 people all marching down the street that day. And then we just had one yesterday as well, and that was another epic turnout. We had about the same amount of people, possibly a little bit more, yesterday. So this community is growing and people are showing up, aren't they? And I guess I just wanted to come up here and let you guys know that, you know, your neighbours are working just as hard as you guys are in this fight for our freedom. There's been a very consistent message today, and I reckon we should turn it into a hashtag. Hashtag put the sitting member last. What do you reckon? You've all got some very good choices coming up in the federal election, and I'm not going to steal the thunder from Nathan and One Nation today, but I'm also running up against Keith Pitt for United Australia Party. And I look forward to working with the minor parties and independents from a united front to kick these guys out. Thank you.
Well spoken. Big round of applause for Christy, everybody. Yeah, whoa.
Thank you, Christy. Again, that was awesome to hear what's going on in Bundaberg. So we're not alone here, guys. We might think, you know, this is only little Maryborough here, this group of people here today. We're not alone. It's happening in every town around Australia, I guarantee it. So the numbers are big. So keep fighting hard in your own town, in your own circles, in your businesses. Stay strong. We've got one more speaker coming up, and it's Alex from Gympie. And Alex has had a lot to do with what's happening in Gympie, and he's got a few interesting things to mention to you as well. I think he's quite passionate about the whole thing as well. Thank you very much for travelling today, Alex.
You're not going to do a dance or break dance, are you, Alex? Well, hey! I said, hey!
Good evening, Maryborough. It's not evening yet, afternoon. I'd like to say thank you very much for having me here today, but I'd also like you all to thank the organisers, please, for their efforts to allow you to come here and get all of this very important information, as well as being able to come together. That's just as important. I'd also like to thank all the previous speakers, the information they've shared, the passion they've spoken about, and the things that you can do are now there for you to do. So please give them a round of applause as well. I am the last speaker, so I'm going to ask for your every ounce of energy. I'm going to ask to have a conversation with you, and you can say yeah or nah to what I have to say. So let's have a practice. Can you say yeah? Yeah. Say nah? Nah. All right. So, my name's Alex Whittaker. I am from Gympie, and we have come a long way since about October. We started out doing small things that led to become big things, and those things all started from single thoughts. And those thoughts come from within us, and all of you have that power. I'm just an average Aussie, an Australian. Are you an Australian? Yeah. Australian.
Yeah, mate, bloody oath.
Yeah.
Monza.
Shut up. Australians all, let us rejoice.
Get stuffed.
Because we are still young and free, yeah?
Yeah, mate.
There's one thing that these globalists have not counted on. We will not be beaten, I guarantee it. You want to know why? And that's because of the Australian spirit, yeah? The Australian spirit will not be broken. The Australian spirit will not be enslaved. And the Australian spirit will never surrender. That spirit is that peace of heart inside of us all. And we are all learning to tap into it now. Who here wants change from what we've been given? Yeah? The change first comes from here. 2022 is the year that you change first. Yeah? It's up to you. It's not up to politicians. It's what you do in the minute, every day, and how you feel, what you think, and how you act. Am I right? We are a spark of change that is going to turn into a flame, that is going to turn into a fire, and then a blaze, and then an inferno that will not be stopped. Am I right? Yes. Am I right? Yes. That's right. Because we are what? We are Australians. Australians? What are we? Australians. Remember, this is your last bit of energy. What are we? Australians. Free Australians. Free of heart, free of mind, free of choice. So use it. I'd like to tell you about a lady I met in October. She had a 5-year-old son on her hip and a 10-year-old son in a stroller. She said, we should go down the main street and ask businesses if they'd like to come along and have an information night on what they can do about these mandates, what they can do to protect themselves about being sued for discrimination, about turning away customers, or how to cope with the fines. Within an hour, it's all the time we had, 20 people said yes. 2 days later, it was 50. By the end of the week, we were guessing 200, 250. On the night, we ended up with close to 500 people filling the hall. Filling the hall. Now that hall was full of people that then we took to another event later, the newspaper reported there was 200 anti-social business people in the paper. So we said, bugger it, we'll fix you. We organised an event in the park and I gave everyone a free raffle ticket to a dinner at a local restaurant. So we had a count. We ended up with 850 people plus the next time. All from the spark of an idea. This is the power you have in you. You must choose to use it. First, you need to know you got it. If a lady can do that, this is now steamrolling into an event every Saturday down there. We created Gympie Community Group website, which is a hub for all people to come together. Autonomy Network, health advocates, teachers, stuff. There's just so much on there, I can't quote it all right now. We're going to do Super Saturday events where we come together in the park every Saturday and start having more people come up and speak their personal truths. As I said, this is going to turn into an inferno. From today, what we can do, we need to be proactive every day, in every moment, with courage. the kind of courage is the same kind of courage that James Martin, a 14-year-old boy in 1915, it was the courage that he took to go down to the army officer's sign-in and say, I will fight for this country. A 14-year-old boy. Can you imagine the focus, the passion, and the absolute character of that boy? No, incorrect. That man. To walk down there. Let alone the courage that it took him to sling a 303 on his shoulder and a slouch hat and go to Gallipoli and storm a beach. And we worry about having a conversation. We worry about walking into a shop because we might get asked for our mask or our QR code. We worry about being fined 500, 1,000, 2,000. They're all being kicked out anyway. I personally did a fine and they sent me back a letter. I did a little bit of paperwork with them, said, yeah, show me the law. No, didn't. I said, okay, it's null and void. They sent me back a little letter that said, due to circumstances, your fine has been cancelled. A $500 mask fine. But we'll send you another one out. So I'm just going to do the same. What I'm saying is they're using fear to stop us using our power. In this moment, every day, where we go, our power is being crushed with their fear, their manipulation, and their psychological torture of you, the Australian people. The what people? Australian people. If you want to find your courage, I would encourage you to first have a dream. If we don't have a good reason why to go out of that door like James did, they called him Jimmy. He had a good reason to give his life. What about you? What about me? What about everyone here? What would you like? Would you like a country where you're free to go and do what you want when you want?
Yes.
Would you like to have a country where we own our water services, our electricity, our roads, our you name it? It's ours. We had that. And it's up to us to take it back. Yeah. So in closing, that change comes from you. You need focus, you need passion, and you need to be able to use it as much as possible. And just consider, don't think too much about the challenges ahead. Just get your feet moving out that door and start moving forward towards your dream of the world you want, and stop focusing on all the stuff that they're pushing down our throat, because every second you're focused on what they say and what they threaten, you are not acting from your power towards your goal. And that, for me, is having a country where we advance Australia fair. Thank you.
Spoken, Alex.
Well, another awesome speech today. What do you reckon, guys? It's been an awesome lineup, hasn't it?
Excellent.
So this stuff doesn't just happen. It takes a lot of planning, and these guys to travel, to be here, and to want to get up and speak passionately. You know, but it's awesome to see it all come together like this today. And on top of that, we've had awesome weather as well. So thank you very much for coming today, guys. I'd like to say thank you again to all of the people that have come here to speak today, sincerely. All of the volunteers, Fraser Coast Rally Group, they work tirelessly, week in, week out, and anyone that's been involved at all, any of the volunteers, thank you so much. Thank you for coming today, guys. We have got our march on now, guys. If you'd like to hang around for another 5 minutes until we get set up, we will be heading up to Alina Street across and up from there. It'll take about 15 minutes, so if you'd like to hang around, grab a drink, grab something to eat, join the lineup, and we'll be heading off very soon. Again, thank you very much. Thank you for coming, and we look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks at Harvey Bay and Maryborough. Love to see you here again.
Can we get all the speakers up, Chris?
Yeah, guys. Can we quickly get the speakers up here and our Fraser Coast Rally volunteers all together for a quick photo, guys, quickly, while you guys all organise yourself in the lineup. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Big round of applause for.
We can.
Oh, sorry. Chris Black, ladies and gentlemen.
So we can get all our volunteers just quickly up here, guys. Fraser Coast Rallies, committee, volunteers, speakers, the whole